Want to break away from the break to take you now live to the White House to see him, President Obama. He has a visitor, Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper, talking economy. Let's listen.
Stephen, I've got a trusted partner, and I think he'll agree that perhaps no two nations match up more closely together or are woven together more deeply economically, culturally, than the United States and Canada. And that deep sense of interconnection, our shared values, our shared interests, infused the work that we have done today, from supporting a resolution to the Eurozone crisis to moving ahead with the transition in Afghanistan, from deepening security cooperation here in the Americas to supporting reform and democratic transitions in the Middle East and North Africa. Our focus today, however, is on our highest priority, and my top priority as president, and that's creating jobs faster and growing the economy faster. And in this mission, Canada has a special role to play. As most of you know, Canada is our single largest trading partner, our top export market. And those exports, from cars to food, support some 1.7 million good-paying American jobs. Canada, in turn, is one of the top foreign investors in the United States, and that creates even more jobs and prosperity. And the Prime Minister and I are determined not just to sustain this trade, but to expand it, to grow it even faster. So we're creating even more jobs and more opportunity for our people. Canada is key to achieving my goal of doubling American exports and putting folks back to work. And the two important initiatives that we agreed to today will help us do just that. First, we're agreeing to a series of concrete steps to bring our economies even closer and to improve the security of our citizens, not just along our shared border, but beyond the border. Put simply, we're going to make it easier to conduct the trade and travel that creates jobs, and we're going to make it harder for those who would do us harm and threaten our security. For example, some 90% of all our trade, more than $1 billion in trade every single day, passes through our roads, our bridges, and our ports. But because of old systems and heavy congestion, it still takes too many products too long to cross our borders. And for every business, either Canadian or American, time is money. So we're going to improve our infrastructure. We're going to introduce new technologies. We're going to improve cargo security and screening, all designed to make it easier for our companies to do business and create jobs. And that, by the way, includes our small businesses, which create most of the new jobs here in America. And when they look to export, typically Canada is one of the most likely places they are to start getting a foothold in the global economy. So it's hugely important for our small and medium-sized businesses. Last year, more than 100 million people crossed our shared border, including lots of Canadians who, I'd note, spend more money in the United States than any other visitors. So I want to make a pitch. We want even more Canadians visiting the United States. And please spend more money here. We want to make it easier for frequent travelers and our business people to travel, and we're going to create a simplified entry-exit system. I'd add that along with better screening and sharing more information, this will help us be even smarter about our joint security, concentrating our resources where they're needed most, identifying real threats to our security before they reach our shores. The second thing we're doing is we're ramping up our effort to get rid of outdated, unjustified regulations that stifle trade and job creation. This is especially important in sectors like the auto industry, where so many cars and products are built on both sides of the border. But sometimes that's slowed down by regulations and paperwork that, frankly, just doesn't make sense. So we're going to strike a better balance with sensible regulations that unleash trade and job creation while still protecting public health and safety. And this builds on the efforts that we have here in the United States, led by Cass Sunstein at OIRA, where we're eliminating billions of dollars in costs from regulations. Now our two nations are going to be going further, streamlining, eliminating, and coordinating regulations, slashing red tape, and we're going to focus on several key sectors, including autos, agriculture, and healthcare. So this can be a win-win situation where not only are we making our regulatory systems more efficient in our respective countries, but we're also seeing greater convergence between our two countries. Even as we pursue these two new initiatives, the Prime Minister and I discussed our broader economic relationship I'm pleased that Canada's expressed an interest in the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Many of you accompanied me to the APEC meeting where you know that this has generated a great deal of interest. So we look forward to consulting with Canada as well as our TPP partners and others about how all of us can meet the high standards demanded by this trade agreement, and it can be, I think, a real model not only for the region but for the world. We did discuss the proposed Keystone XL pipeline, which is very important to Canada, and I think the Prime Minister and our Canadian friends understand that it's important for us to make sure that all the questions regarding the project are properly understood, especially its impact on our environment and the health and safety of the American people. And I assured him that we will have a very rigorous process to work through that issue. So we're going to continue to work as partners and as friends. And Stephen, on this day and in all the discussions that we have, I want to thank you again for your candor, your sense of common purpose, what you bring and your team brings to this partnership. It's been extraordinary, and I want to personally thank you for the progress that our team's made in these two very important announcements that we made today. I'm confident, by the way, that we are going to implement them diligently. We have folks like Secretary Napolitano from Department of Homeland Security and Cass Sunstein, who are going to be heading up our team and making sure that these things go into effect in a way that benefits both the Canadian people and the American people. And so, Stephen, to all the people of Canada, thank you. To you, thank you. And I wish everybody a wonderful holiday season.
Great. Well, thank you, Barack. Thank you for, first of all, our candid conversation today. As always, we always appreciate that. We appreciate all the work that's been done on this. I did mention Bob Hamilton, Simon Kennedy working on our side, but I do want to thank all the officials on both sides who have been working hard over very many months to do what is a very important initiative. And, of course, I do want to thank you for your friendship, not just personally, Barack, but I know the friendship you feel for the entire nation of Canada, and we all do appreciate it. Merci, Barack. Mesdames et messieurs, c'est une journée historique. Today, we are pleased to announce ambitious agreements on perimeter security and economic competitiveness, as well as on regulatory cooperation. Ces accords créent une nouvelle frontière moderne pour un siècle nouveau. Ensemble, ils représentent le plus important pas en avant dans la coopération entre le Canada et les États-Unis depuis l'accord de libre-échange nord-américain. These agreements create a new, modern border for a new century. Together, they represent the most significant steps forward in Canada-U.S. cooperation since the North American Free Trade Agreement. Le premier accord permet de réconcilier les préoccupations en matière de sécurité des États-Unis et du Canada avec notre intérêt commun qui est de garder notre frontière aussi ouverte que possible au commerce et au voyage légitime. The first agreement merges U.S. and Canadian security concerns.
All right, we were going to pull away, but I think you got the gist of what President there and the Canadian Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, were essentially saying, thanking one another for this win-win partnership, this relationship, very good friends, Canada and the U.S., talking